The Dub Jellison Podcast is presented by Indy Lumberjack. They proudly offer reasonable rates, safe, top quality, courteous, efficient service. Let Indy Lumberjack help you reach your goal of maintaining beautiful and safe trees. They're by far the best in the business. You can get a free quote on indylumberjack.com or email indylumberjack@gmail.com for inquiries. Again, get a free quote on indylumberjack.com. What's up, everyone? We're back with another episode of Dub Jellison Podcast. Today, I have a very special guest, Boston Red Sox catcher Kevin Plawecki. Kevin, how are you?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for doing this. First off, I want to congratulate you. You signed a 1-year extension with the Red Sox. So congrats on that. Obviously, this past season was amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. It was really weird. No fans. So how weird was that season for you and all the guys in the MLB?
It was definitely weird. I mean, it was uncharted territories. I mean, none of us had to deal with that before. I don't think anybody expected to ever have to deal with that with no fans in the stands. It was weird. It was the fake fan noise was tough to get used to. But I mean, at the end of the day, we were able to get a season in, play baseball, and get through one of the weirdest years, and I think for everybody. So I'm glad that we were able to get through it, and everybody stayed healthy and all that. So all in all, it ended up working out, but it was definitely a very weird year.
Yeah, and I mean, you talked about the fake crowd noise. I covered the Purdue game, the home opener against Oakland, and they were trying to pump in crowd noise, and it sounded like people were dying. It was terrible. I hated it so much.
Yeah, it's tough. It's brutal. It's brutal. It like lulls you to sleep. Honestly, it's like one of those sound machines.
Mhm.
It takes some getting used to before you kind of don't even really pay attention to it. But early on, it's tough.
Yeah. Do you guys like? I mean, when you're out there, do you guys hear all the fan activity coming? Because everything's so close, especially for you as a catcher. Can you hear all the crowd? Like when there are crowds, can you hear the fans as much, or do you kind of tone them out?
I when you're playing, it really doesn't. It's more so when you're on the bench, especially with the I guess when their fans there versus the crowd noise. You just realize you hear a little bit more obviously when you're just kind of sitting there or you're on deck. But when you're in the game, you're kind of in that zone. You're not really even thinking about who's saying what, who's yelling what. You're so locked into what's happening in front of you. So you really don't pay attention to the crowd noise or, when there's fans there, any of that. But you miss like the excitement of, when a ball goes up in a big situation, or a big homer in a big situation, the crowd noise, natural crowd noise, not the fake crowd noise. It's special. Like it makes it a lot more fun, when the fans are involved in that way, and they think it's a home run. It's not a home run, but like it's that kind of anticipation. It's that excitement that everybody gets. It's definitely was missed this past year, and I hope that we can get back to that soon.
Yeah. What about I mean, I wasn't really a fan of the cardboard cutouts sitting behind home plate and then the stands and all that stuff. What do you think about that?
It was different. I think there was some stadiums did a lot more than other stadiums, so that was a little bit different. I think Philadelphia had their whole lower section filled with cardboard cutouts.
Mhm.
I mean, to each his own, right? I mean, it's kind of cool in a sense to make the fans feel, like a part of things, stuff like that. And in the Red Sox case, we didn't have really a whole lot. We had our families right behind our dugout, which is kind of cool to see my son up there every time running in the dugout. We had them up on the bleacher seats and over the monster, and then some behind home plate. But we didn't really have a whole lot. But I mean, it was just a way I think to try and connect with the fans in such a weird year. And you know, if a foul ball or whatever goes into the seats, somebody on TV watching could be, that's me. So, um, I think it was just an interesting way, creative way to make it look like there's fans in the stands for us players. And at the same time, try and connect with the fans as well.
Mhm. And you mentioned your son. I mean, obviously, a lot of people saw that video of when you finally came home after the season and saw your son. How difficult was that to be away from your family, and then how much joy did it bring you to see your son react that way when you were finally able to come home and see him?
Yeah, it was. it was a weird year, right? So I mean, we my wife being pregnant with our second son on the way here due in a couple weeks, so it was one of those things where it wasn't it wasn't didn't feel right for them to come to Boston this year just because of me traveling so much and them not even being able to go to games and this and that. It was just a lot. It would have been a lot of work for them just to basically sit there for 3 months. So it was definitely difficult. It was challenging, but everybody on that team, and I live with some other guys too that were away from their families as well. So we are all kind of going through it, all that in the same, in the same situation. So at least we had each other to kind of, hang out with and make the time go by as fast as possible. But, obviously there was harder times, and times where it felt like it went by, really quick, and some days where it feels like it went by really slow. But at the end of the day, just getting home and being back and seeing him, and just I'm glad he remembered who Daddy was, and that was the biggest thing when I was gone. Wondering if he'd remember me, because it was he grew so much in those 3 months, but obviously he did remember me, and now you know I can't get him away from me, so it's all good.
Yeah. How old is he?
He's 2. He turned 2 September 2nd, so he's 2 and some change.
Oh, dope. Um,
Yeah.
so I mean, obviously this year you had a lot of success behind the plate. So is there anything in particular that you could attribute that to? Because I know you had a kind of a big jump from previous years to this year.
Yeah, I mean, I worked a lot on my swing, kind of mechanically, swinging it at being aggressive at good pitches in the zone, and a big one of the big things was just an adjustment I made with my swing here with Kevin Long, my hitting coach with New York when I was there, and just somebody who lives here in Arizona with me, and we're always sitting together in the off season. It was just one little tweak that we made last year that really clicked and made things obviously work this last season. So it's just with my stride, stuff like that. So I mean, just having the consistency with it, having the results base with it this past year, that was a big jump for me. It was a big step moving forward, and he's been with me the whole ride, with me first coming up in New York, and and then every season, the 3 years I was in New York with him there, and then the off seasons we're constantly working together. So, he knows my swing like the back of his hand, and he's I got to give him a lot of credit for everything he's done, and he really made some big adjustments with me, not just this past year, but over the last really 5 years, and I'm hitting with him later today as well. So we'll just keep rolling and keep working.
Mm-hmm. And then so like when I played baseball in high school, but like my philosophy was if it was close to the zone, I was hacking at it no matter what. It didn't really matter to me. So talk about your kind of philosophy in terms of like taking strikes and knowing which balls, like which area of the zone you should be taking your swings on.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on kind of what kind of hitter you are, really. What gives you the best chance to succeed, I guess. For me, my swing works when I'm thinking to hit the ball to right center field, and I react in. That's not everybody's. That's not the way everybody can think, but I try and get something where I can drive the ball to right center field, and that allows my swing to work. Wherever the pitch is at. If I'm thinking that direction, I am able to recognize pitches better. I'm not pulling off the ball. I'm not chasing balls that are, off the plate. So my mindset's got to be, directionally towards, right center field. And that way I stay close enough. I don't fly open, and I'm able to put a good swing on it and recognize the pitches that I need to swing at.
Mm-hmm. And you talked about your meeting with Kevin Long here later. What does your off-season work look like? Like, how much are you hitting? How much are you working on catching behind the plate and strength and conditioning as well?
Yeah, well, usually this time of year, I usually ramp things up right around, just before Thanksgiving. Give myself about a month and a half or so to just kind of relax, and during that month and a half period, I just hop on the Peloton here and just kind of keep the legs moving, and just kind of keep my cardio going, but just kind of give my body a good break to recover from the season, and then stuff November, middle of November, just before Thanksgiving. Start working out a couple times a week, 3 times a week, and then right now it's about 3-4 times a week working out, and hitting 3 times a week, and throwing 3 times a week. By the end of the month, when when my wife has our second son, I'll be a little bit more busy, a little bit more hands-on. So yeah, just trying to sneak out and get the work in, when kids are down for a nap or whatnot. But it comes, each off season goes by faster and faster, and it's always just making sure that you're prepared and you feel good going into spring training.
Mm-hmm. How often do you get work in with guys from other teams? I know, specifically in the NBA, they kind of do that a lot. They all go to Brinkley's place in New York and go play 5-on-5 or whatever. So how often do you maybe throw or hit with guys from other teams?
I'd say it happens quite often, really. Working out with Shane Bieber today. Well, actually, he's out of town today, but after we work out, we usually throw together and work out with Bradley Zimmer, Indians guys. So it just kind of depends. All of us, utilize the resources we have around here, with batting cages that are open, who can throw, who can flip, whether it's guys on my team or guys on another team. We all fraternity of baseball players and know, we know what it's like to, try and get our work in, but, we try and make it fun at the same time. And, we all look out for each other. So, I mean, definitely, I would say more times than not, you're hitting with guys from different organizations or different teams, especially in the wintertime.
Mm-hmm. And when did you move out to Arizona?
Moved out here in 2016 after 2016 season.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'm assuming it's a lot easier to get work done in the off season out there in Arizona compared to here in Indiana. So have you found that to be true?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, there's a lot more space. A lot easier to get outside and see the ball fly a little bit earlier. Rather being back home in Indy, it's just not possible to go head outside come January, February, and then you're heading to spring training in March. It's tough to be outside for the first time. But yeah, I mean, I like it out here. It's great. When I'm not playing golf, not being a dad, I like golfing obviously too. So I mean, there's plenty of options to keep the competitiveness going out here, and a lot of good golf as well.
Mm-hmm. When you were back home in Indy, where did you go? Like, did you go to Round Trip or maybe Grand Park?
Mm-hmm. Grand Park wasn't there when I was growing up, so it was Round Tripper for me. It was the only place I really knew. We lived in there.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of travel ball teams did you play for when you were back here? I played, like for me, I played for the Nitro for a couple years, and then with the Mustangs for the rest of the time. Who'd you play with?
Yeah, I did. I mean, obviously, when I was young, the Westfield Indians. Shout out to the boys that we came up with. Up into high school with. Basically, we had a really good group of guys. And then from there it was I think it was the Mustangs for a little bit. It was the Bulls for like 1 year, and then they wouldn't let me catch, so I had to get off that team. They put me in the outfield. I was out. And then it was the Indiana Prospects. It was group of guys that we had from Westfield, HSE, Fishers. Kind of collectively. Some sprinkled in throughout, but yeah, those are like my main teams, especially leading up to high school. I know it was mainly the prospects that kind of going into high school and stuff like that was was the main travel team that I was on, and had great times with the guys. Remember them like yesterday. It was just go by so quick. You think they're gonna last forever, but those were the days.
Yeah, man, I miss going like going to Cincy or Dublin, Ohio, or
Yeah,
Illinois or Michigan and hanging out with the boys for the weekend. Those were the good old days in my opinion.
yeah, they were. Yeah, right around the hotels.
Yeah.
swimming in the pool till 10 o'clock at night till your parents get you out of there or whatever.
Yeah. So obviously you went to Westfield High School. So talk about that kind of high school, Indiana high school baseball scene. And I think it's kind of disregarded because of like our geography and like we've mentioned before, you can't really train over the winter outside. So talk about the high school baseball scene, especially when you were there.
Well, I mean, I was fortunate enough to be on a really good team with a lot of really good guys. Yeah, it's tough to obviously get outside and get ready for a season, but at the same time, we're in a very fortunate spot. At Westfield at least. I can't speak for the other schools, but I would like to say that they've got the accommodations to kind of make the indoor facilities work. Just knowing that these you need to train in the wintertime. So whether it be the auxiliary gym or the actual baseball wing they put up at Westfield High School, put the cage up there. You have the resources to get work done without being outside. So in that big, the big track they put in at Westfield High School with all that, just a space to be able to get ground balls, even though it's on a weird floor, but just to be able to like get that coming at you, by the time you get outside, you're not just, rolling right into it. So we were lucky enough to have the resources, at our high school to feel prepared going into a season. And we just happen to have a lot of good players with a lot of good talent, on top of all that as well. So, those were some fun times there.
Mm-hmm. And then around your senior year in high school, obviously you were going to make the transition to go to college baseball. So talk about that that situation and how you ended up choosing Purdue.
Well, I mean, anybody that knows me knows I'm a huge Purdue fan. So, they were the first. Coach Schreiber was the first phone call that I got when they could actually reach out to us as players. I don't know what date it is, whatever, but first phone call I got, and obviously was super jacked. And then some other phone calls were rolling in. I wanted to obviously just make sure I, at least explored some other options before just jumping the gun on Purdue right away. That way I felt better about it, just so I knew how good Purdue was. So after going to, I can't believe I took a trip to IU, but I did. I went down there and took a trip just out of pure respect. Being in Indiana, I just wanted to see for myself why Purdue is a better fit. And that was easy for me to decide after going there. And then obviously Michigan State was in there. I went to Louisville. So those last four, Purdue in there, were my like final four. And after going to Louisville, obviously great facilities and all that stuff, but my heart was set on Purdue the whole time. I knew where I was going. I knew where I wanted to go, and there was no hesitation in my mind, and best decision I ever made.
Yeah,
and the easiest.
Well, I mean, just before we hopped on here, they came out and said that the bucket game was canceled this year. Probably for the best for Purdue because we have not been well this year. So
it's tough to watch right now. All sports tough to watch right now. Frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, basketball should be fine. I mean, we're just a really young team, so we should be fine.
We're young. Miami lost the other day was frustrating. Up 20 in the first half, and we that just can't happen. But I get it. It's sports, It's all part of the learning curve, and they're a young squad, so they'll learn from all of it. And got to finish the games. Got to finish them off. You make me go nuts over here. Purdue sports makes me go crazy, man. My wife hates it.
So, I mean, obviously, back a couple of years ago when Carson and Klein led us on that Elite Eight run, you guys had just started the season, I believe, around that time, or you guys were in spring.
Yeah, we were. I remember it vividly when we played that game against Tennessee. We were in Minnesota, watching at a bar there because it was right at the beginning of the season, and that was devastating.
Yeah, I mean,
it was fun though. It was a fun run. It really felt like we were actually going to do it. Like we were finally gonna get our national championship, or at least get to the Final Four or whatever. But it's the way that game unfolded. I mean, Carson was unstoppable. It was Klein and all those guys it was a cool run to see for those guys because you're watching them for X amount of years, right? And then to have it just end the way it did I felt like I was on the team. It was frustrating. I think we all felt that.
Yeah, it was really tough. I feel for those. It's just so. I mean, that's how sports goes. Like you kind of mentioned. So do you guys talk a little trash for maybe not? I mean, not even just your college teams, but maybe NBA teams or NFL teams or stuff like that within the clubhouse.
I'd say it's more so college, banter. But for me, it's over the years. Everybody knows how big of a Purdue fan I am, so I'm always talking trash, and we always lose, or like it's a bowl game, or it's the NCAA tournament, and I'm putting Purdue to win it all every time, just because the one time they do it, I'm going to be the one that did it, So I'm always talking trash. It's that good back and forth banter. We're playing Texas A&M in a basketball, and so a tournament. Losers got to wear the opposing guys, school to the clubhouse next day, something like that. But there's a little bit more back and forth on the college than there is, the NBA and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And how do you look back on time at Purdue?
How do I look back on it
Mm-hmm.
in regards to athletics or just in general?
Just in general, athletics and how you used it to maybe grow and apply it to your professional career now.
Yeah, I mean, it helped me grow a lot. Obviously the baseball side, the off the field side, met my wife there. Just as a whole, you're on your own. You got to make, you're not going back to mommy and daddy's house. In high school, you're living it up with the boys. You're going out. You're living the dream, right? You're having the best time of your life. I miss it, but we did it right. But also was smart about it, safe about it. And just a lot of good memories with a lot of great dudes. On the field, off the field, the parties, the classrooms, all of it. I think it was, one of those things where it was blessed to be around a lot of great people and helped me, become into the person I am today, and obviously got me prepared for what was next, going into pro ball.
Mm-hmm. And how'd you find that balance between like partying and school and baseball? Because I know you can't go throw down on a weeknight and then go have practice the next morning at like 6 a.m. So how'd you kind of find that happy medium?
You'd be surprised what we could do. Us baseball guys, we were a close knit team because I think we spent so much time with each other off the field. Granted, there was times if we had that 6 a.m. lift, we're not up having some beers until 3 a.m. by any means. It's not happening. But on the weekends, after games, we'd meet at somebody's house and we'd throw some back and we get ready to go out there and kick the next team's ass the next day. We were just good, one, and two, we were really talented, and we hung out together. And I feel like teams that hang out together and are boys and honestly best friends as a whole, it translates to winning on the field. And that's kind of honestly looking back at it, that's what we did a lot of. It was a lot of hanging out with each other, not even necessarily drinking or any of that. It was just just being together, hanging out. Let's go over here, watch a game together. Everybody just be together, and then it just translates over to success. And I think it shows for what we did, not only the first couple of years at Purdue, but that last year I was there, especially that junior year, we were really good, and we hung out with each other a lot.
Mm-hmm. And transitioning after your Purdue career, obviously you were a first round pick by the Mets. So what was that kind of moment like? Was it kind of surreal to you at all that you were actually a first round pick? Was it hard to believe?
Yeah, it was weird to hear, on the TV and actually see it and hear it. It was, gives you chills, thinking about it, and definitely in the moment, you just kind of go numb. You don't really know what happened, what it really means, right? You don't know where you're going to want to go, where you going to play. You just want to get a chance to go and play at the next level, right? And just to hear your name be called, and New York Mets, you're like going to New York, like it's crazy. You know what I mean? It's just takes a little while to set in, but it's really cool experience to have. At least all my family and friends there, but some of my coaches, over at the house, and it's fun to share that moment with them.
Mm-hmm. And then coming up through the minor leagues, was it what you expected, or was it? I mean, I know the conditions, I guess, aren't as great as some people might hope, but did it live up to your expectations, or what did you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't really know what expectations to have, really. I mean, I knew it was going to be a grind. I knew it was going to be a lot of bus travel, a lot of hotels, and a lot of time away from family, obviously. And it was just one of those things where you got to put your head down, go to work, make the most of every day, every day's opportunity. And that's still how I look at it today. Granted, the lifestyle is a little bit better with the travel and the stadiums we're playing in, obviously, but the grind's still the same. You still got to put the work in, and you still got to grind to get the results that you want, good, bad, and different. So I think coming up in the minor leagues, it grows you into it helps you understand what you need to do in order to be a good player, good person, and it just kind of forms you into who you need to be in order to be successful.
Mm-hmm. How often did you play in Indy when you were in AAA? Did you play at Victory Field often?
Zero. None. I was always in the other league. I was always like on the West Coast with I was in Vegas for a lot of years with the Mets AAA. So it was a different league, and yeah, I didn't play any games. I haven't played at Victory Field since our state championship in high school, so I haven't been back there since.
Damn, that's tough. I figured at least be able to play 1 or 2 games there, maybe one series, but
nothing. Yeah, it was always a different league.
Mm-hmm. So how difficult do you think it is being a catcher, especially to stay in the league and go through that grind like you talked about?
Well, I think it takes a us catchers, we got to be able to relate well with our pitchers and pretty much everybody. Really, you got to be able to understand the pitcher's strengths, the pitcher's weaknesses, how to call a game. And granted, thanks to Doug Schreiber at Purdue, he was able to, like, I was calling my own game my freshman year in college. So for me, I had that experience, not only for 1 year, but for 3 years going into pro ball, where all of a sudden you're turned loose. You don't have the pitching coach calling pitches like you do in some, I don't know how it is. I'm in college now, but I know sometimes, at least at the beginning of my Purdue career, he was calling the game, and then all of a sudden we're getting beat by somebody a lot, and he, took it over to me. And from then on, I called my own game. So that was important. But I think longevity wise in baseball for a catcher is, one, taking care of your body, two, having those relationships and really just understanding what works and how to get the best out of those pitchers and at the same time also having fun as well. You gotta have fun, you gotta have those relationships and just enjoy the grind with the guys, trying to understand everybody, and I think that makes it fun, but it also creates longevity at the position. And obviously what goes without saying, like I said earlier, is just taking care of your body and making sure that you're healthy, because health's a big thing in all sports, but especially catching. You need to be healthy. If you're not on the field, it's hard to it's hard to play.
Mm. You talked about those relationships with the players. So when you're catching guys that maybe speak another language, obviously baseball is really big in Latin America, so there's a lot of Cuban, Dominican Republic guys that come up into the major leagues and pitch. Is it difficult to kind of communicate with them when you're catching them?
Not a whole lot, really. They're pretty good with, they understand they understand more than what people give them credit for, really. Especially, they really take the time to try and understand the English language, and I try and understand the Spanish language. Not very good at it, but I also know that, the little nuances and like the words that I need, to be able to convey to them as well. So we can kind of go back and forth with that if they really don't have a understanding of what I'm saying. So it's really not as bad as people think. They understand, more, and they're smarter than what people maybe from the outside looking in think. It's it's really a lot easier for us to communicate than what people think.
Mm-hmm. And so one thing that kind of pisses me off about I mean, it's especially younger guys. They don't really think of baseball as a hard sport. So for the people that hate, talk about just how hard the sport is actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously tough physically. I don't think people understand how tough it is mentally on some people. How hard it can be mentally, how hard of a grind it is to play 162, and keep your focus for 162, going through a roller coaster ride of highs and lows and hot streaks, and you're going to go 2 weeks without getting a hit, or you're going to go 2 weeks with you can't get out. But that's the grind, and that's the part of the game that took me probably the longest to really grasp and kind of understand and like just have fun with it, because there was a period of time where it was like, this is this is kind of miserable. Like, I'm not even having fun. Like, it's hard to kind of keep my focus and hard to lock it in every single time. I put too much pressure on myself to try and perform when I get my opportunity. So it took me a little while to just understand it, to let it go and just have fun. And it's a complete different mindset when I'm playing now compared to when I was first coming up, because all you're worried about is staying in the big leagues, right? Staying in the big leagues, staying there. And then it's like you're putting just so much pressure on yourself to perform at such a high level when it's already hard enough. It's hard enough to hit 100-mile-an-hour fastball with sink. But when you're not even in the mental capacity, like a mental state to even recognize a pitch or swing at a pitch or lay off a pitch, then it just makes it even harder. So I think what people don't understand is that, like, oh, you're in the big leagues, life's good, you got it made. That ain't the case, at least unless you're Mike Trout. And I'd say even him sometimes he understands as well. How hard the game can be, both physically and mentally. It's you ask any baseball player, they'll be able to tell you the same thing. So just having that balance of understanding how hard the game is for yourself, is good. But from the outside looking in, nobody that's ever done it, nobody that's ever gone through it, they'll never know, unfortunately.
100%. And I mean, Mike Trout is just, for me, obviously I haven't been alive very long to see much baseball in the grand scheme of things, but I think he's the best player that I've ever seen.
He is. Yeah, he's I think he's definitely the best player in baseball right now. There's a lot of them, a lot of great players, but I mean, what you see him do year in and year out, day in and day out, it's extremely impressive.
Yeah, it's honestly insane. He's just built different in my opinion. But
he is.
So going back to, your whole career, you've had the chance to catch some outstanding pitchers like deGrom, Syndergaard, Bauer, Bieber, and Clevinger. So who do you think well, first of all, what is it like to catch those upper echelon guys?
Well, it's fun because they know where the ball is going. they know they're easy to spot up. So for me, it's like I know where their misses are going to be at, and I know like what we're trying to do. So those guys, when they're kind of like when you're like misses or when you can hit your spots, it's a lot easier to catch. And those guys do a really good job at hitting their spots, and that's why they're so good, right? Mm-hmm. If you're not able to hit your spots, you're not able to locate or command the ball. It's a lot more difficult to catch, but it's also a lot more difficult to have success that way as well. I do think there's a saying too that you got to be just as lucky as you are good. But those guys more times than not are good. There'll be, every pitcher will get away with the ball right down the middle and get an out, right? But those mistakes a lot of times get hammered more than not. But those guys, what make them so good is their ability to command the baseball and obviously have the velocity, the wipeout stuff to, you have to honor the fastball at 100, the slider and breaking ball and a changeup, So when you got all those pitches that you can work with anytime, and able to locate them anytime at any count, that's what makes those guys elite,
Mm-hmm. And I mentioned those 5 guys. Who do you think is the best pitcher that you've ever caught for?
That's not fair. That's not fair to do to me to ask. Like I said, they're all so electric and so dominant in their own right. So it's really hard because they're all different kind of pitchers, right? They're all, they all locate the ball well, but you got Clev who's funky, his little funkiness to him. You got, Trevor also has his own little way. deGrom's probably the more smooth delivery. Bieber as well, so it's like it's hard to kind of really compare who's the best or who's, because they're all fun to catch and they're all, I don't want to say easy to catch, but they're easy to catch because they're going to be right around the zone, or that where their ball is going to be at. It's easy for me to catch it, easier for me to block it. So to single out one as being better than the other one is kind of tough to do. Given how good they all are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, completely fair. Has there been anyone that you've played against that maybe you're a little starstruck by, like maybe a Jeter or a Trout or someone of that nature?
I think it was A-Rod. A-Rod was like my first kind of like welcome to the big league experience, kind of like when I was like, this is kind of real, like holy shit. It was in 15. It was like 5 days into my big league career. We were playing at Yankee Stadium, and I'm catching and I'm still kind of just trying to grasp the whole thing that I'm in the big leagues. Now I'm playing the Yankees Mets series, Subway series, and A-Rod comes up hits me on my as he's coming up to bat, hits me on my shin guard and says, "Hey Kevin, like how you doing?" And I was like, "Holy shit!" Like like it's A-Rod, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And that kind of just like hit me in a way. It was like, this is real, like I'm not just like watching A-Rod like over the years now. Like I'm like playing against him, um, and then he hits like some monumental home run like that day. It was like I don't know if it was that at bat exactly or it was later in the game, but I know he had a home run and it was for some big number to pass somebody on the home run list or something like that. I don't know exactly who it was, but that was a cool like welcome to the big leagues, kind of like I never played against Jeter, but I think the A-Rod one being in the Subway Series and then that was a cool moment to really welcome me to the big leagues. And then a couple days later I was able to hit my first big league homer against CC Sabathia in the Yankee Stadium, which was all that was just looking back now, and during the time it's going so fast in my head. You have no like time to even like look back and like take in what exactly is happening because it's just moving so fast. But looking back now, it's like it was pretty cool, how it all kind of unfolded.
Yeah, I mean, A-Rod was one of my guys growing up. I mean, it's him and Jeter were my two favorite players. Well, who was your favorite team growing up? Like, who did you root for?
Cubs, big Cubs fan. Yeah.
So what was it like playing your first game at Wrigley?
It was awesome. That place is holds a special place for me just because going there as a kid, growing up with mom, dad, my brother, going up there. We didn't go to a whole bunch of games, but I remember just taking the subway in and trying to get there early for batting practice. I mean, it's just going there as a kid, and then like growing up watching the Cubs games, it's all you did. And then finally have a chance as a player to go there and play. Was pretty freaking awesome, honestly, and it's one of my favorite places to go as a player. And all I wanted to do was hit a home run there. Like just in my career, I'm not a home run hitter, as you know. You look up the numbers; it's not good. I just, I'd rather hit doubles. I like homers, and I'm just not a home run hitter, right? But I wanted to have one homer at Wrigley Field, just from going to the games over the years, and I was able to hit one. I was with the Mets, and it was Cishek was pitching, and I hate the submarine, sidearm guys. I hate it. I don't like it. It's uncomfortable, right? And we were down 3. I think I tied the game with the homer in the 7th or something like that. But the wind, I just barreled it, hit up in the air, and the wind there was blowing out. I was able to hit one out, and just remember around the bases, just like, I did it. Like I always wanted a home run here, and it's pretty cool to be able to do that.
Did they throw it back and you were able to keep the ball?
I didn't get the ball, no. So if anybody's got it, I'd love to have it.
So before I let you go, I wanted to talk about your golf event that you're having here in a couple months in February. So talk a little bit about that, what it is, and why you wanted to create it.
Yeah, so we kind of like started this, I mean, over quarantine, right? During the down period of, I think, the whole world, when we're all just sitting in our homes thinking that this virus was just going to kill everybody, like, and we couldn't do anything. Naturally so, it was scary time. It was like, just, I was like, this baseball season is not going to happen. Like, what am I going to do? Like, what makes me, like, baseball was ended, right? Like, baseball was shut down. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, what would I do if baseball ended tomorrow? Or like, if there was no more baseball? And what do I get genuine enjoyment out of? And it's obviously golf for me. I like getting out there. I like the competitiveness of it. I like being with the guys. But we started this LUXFOREGOLF company. My neighbor and I have gotten extremely close over the years, and we were just kind of talking. The kids would run around the back at night and just kind of started talking about this. We had put on previously a 36 hole event for just our buddies close here in AZ on Friday, that Waste Management Open Week. We call ours the Wasted Management Open Week. It's just a fun day for the boys to get out there and have a good time. And so we started this company now. All the relationships that I've made over with baseball, I just wanted to kind of incorporate this big event to just as us as athletes, go out and play golf and have fun and compete, and that'll be fun to start this company. do this first event and get as many baseball guys as we can, football guys. We got Urlacher coming out there. We got Jerome Bettis right around the corner, seems to be coming out to put on this close to the finish celebrity shootout. I can go on and on about this because I'm jacked about it, but it'll be just a fun day, fun tournament for everybody to get out there before spring training. We'll see what happens with it moving forward. Hopefully it's just that big tournament that we can have year in and year out here, the week of the Waste Management Open tourney. And then from there, we'll see what happens, maybe take some trips and take some people on some trips elsewhere, have tournaments throughout the country. When I'm done playing ball, find me on the golf course, hit me up with LUX4Golf. Let's go play some golf. So that's kind of how it started. That's kind of where we're at. And, this first one's, we're getting a lot of people committed and signed up here sooner than I think we all thought. So it's been a fun little ride. And, I've worked a lot at it. Been doing a lot more work at it than my wife probably wants, but it's something fun. It's something fun I enjoy doing. So it'll be a fun event.
Who are some of the baseball guys that you've gotten to join?
So we've got myself, Bieber will be out there, Kevin Pillar, Aaron Hicks. We got I wish I had my list in front of me. We got Matt Moore, Alex Cobb, Drew Smiley, Travis Darno, Matt Reynolds, Phillip Evans, Johnny Manziel is going to be out there. He actually just committed the other day. So I got a whole list in front of me. I'm just trying to go off the top of my head here, but we got a really good handful of guys that'll be out there, and it'll be Michael Conforto will be out there, but we'll have a good time. It'll be a fun day.
Mm-hmm. How'd you get Manziel to do it?
He lives out here, and a mutual friend, somebody that I know here, knows him better than I do. I've never met him before, but I know Manziel's playing a lot of golf out here, and be like, hey, let's get him out. So, just add him to the group, and so yeah, that's how we got him. It'll be fun.
Do you find that golf messes with your swing at all? Like after you go play golf, you need to go hit more in the cages or anything like that?
No, I think it's the opposite for me. My golf swing helps my baseball swing, just the fluid motion of it. My baseball swing messes up my golf swing. It takes me a little bit when I haven't played in a while. It's normally the other way around. So, I think my golf swing helps me, definitely doesn't hurt my baseball swing. I used to think that in the past, but, not anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to have to wrap this up, but thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Another shout out to Jake Mills for helping bringing us together, but it was truly an honor to have you on.
Appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure. Take care. Stay safe out there.